All right, then. So much to talk about today. I promise you it's loaded, and I hope that my guest tonight, which a lot of you find controversial, yet comes with a lot of knowledge. Yeah, he's a senator and one of those who went to Dubai and the COP28 and the climate change. There's so much to talk about because the federal government is already reacting and saying, look, it's only 422 that we funded. Nigerians are already agitated about the state of the economy and what it could have caused the federal government or Nigeria to fund a large delegation to that country. We'll be talking about that and so much more about the state of the nation and the situation in Ondo State and, of course, around the country. But stick around with me, everyone. Before I get to my guests, let's check out some of the political roundup stories.
The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Mr. Abbas Tajuddin, says the House will review the Fiscal Responsibility Act 2007 to strengthen existing provisions to improve access to information.
Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with us. So let's tell you the reaction of the federal government, this being a furore about the number of delegations from Nigeria, which is competing with China, for example. Nigeria is perhaps the third nation with the highest number of delegations to the climate summit, which is being hosted by the United Arab Emirates, holding in Dubai. Well, the Minister of Information had come out to state that the Minister of Environment, that is Balabri Lawa, says the Nigerian delegates to the COP28 climate summit in Dubai are not up to 25% of the 1,411 number in the registered participant list. The federal government and the Minister of Information also released a statement highlighting the details of the Nigerian delegation funded by the federal government according to the details released. Well, if you look at the list, let me show you the list from part of what I showed you on the program yesterday. The highest delegation from any of the countries is the United Arab Emirates, followed by Brazil, then Nigeria, and China, of course. But this is coming from the federal government today. This is a breakdown. The federal government says 422 persons were funded by the federal government out of the 1,411. And the breakdown goes further. The National Council for... If you look at other countries of the world, Canada, 742, rather. The United Kingdom, 697. Italy, 533. Germany, 468. In Nigeria, 1,411. All of these delegates that you were saying from these countries, in the same vein with Nigeria, because they are not all funded by the state, that is the national government. Just like the federal government says, so it's only 422 we funded. Let's get to talk more about this. I'm being joined tonight on the program by a senator representing Ondo State in the National Assembly. He's a member of the Senate Committee on Appropriations. He was himself at the COP28 in Dubai. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you.
So you are one of the 40 lawmakers funded by the federal government, isn't it?
Well, it will be a very fantastic opportunity for the federal government to fund me for a conference of that nature. It will be a very great honor. But at my level, I don't need anybody to fund me. I wouldn't even fund myself. International organizations send tickets to me. I give papers at international conferences like World Bank. I think I have about 9 of church to give in 2024, already paid for, like World Economic Forum and all that. So we are not, and funding 400 people to a conference like this is too small. You want to hold the conference sometimes in future. Because if you talk about climate change, we had the Kyoto Convention in 1976, you remember? We have it in Nairobi. We have it in Kenya. Now we have it in Dubai. Is Nigeria aiming at hosting this conference one day? Because your data, your historical data about participation will be very important. How many delegates have you been able to put? And how many times have you been able to participate? How many people from your country are able to deliver papers? So talking about 400 or something is nothing. You remember there are 36 states of the Federation. Remember also, China is a polluter of the environment. Nigeria is the one taking the bonds because Nigeria is at the receiving end. We are suffering from the impact of environmental deregulation. So therefore, you will understand that China will bring in more people who are the polluters who are supposed to pay us, whereas we people who are the ones suffering the consequences of environmental degradation, we are sponsoring less people. I was one of the rooms when President Tinubu delivered a fantastic paper, if I extempore of it. And all the presidents were there, Kerry and all, many of them. So the number of Nigerians in that hall are less than 20. You mean the president will give a speech and 20 people will be there to, cheer him up? Whereas it's in one of the country president was coming in, he came with about 60, 70 boys, and they just broke the security system. They don't even go through the checks, and they just invaded the place and went with their president in. So we should understand, it's not about people saying 420, 520. We are talking about climate change, the impact in the world economy. You understand very well that disaster doesn't require visa to travel across border. When COVID-19, left China and come to Nigeria, did he collect a visa from you? Did you get any visa? Now, what damages has it done? We're talking about the tragedy of the common in international relations, where the impact of everybody's effort is leading to disappearance of the environment. Now, you look at all these issues, and these are things that we discuss. For example, imagine the number of cars that have been produced across the world. Nigeria doesn't produce cars. Look at carbon emission that comes out from that. The impact on us. So you see, that's a big issue. Now, let's finish. Now, let me give you an example.
Your argument, Dr.
Yes.
Jimoh,
yes.
Those who believe this is an elitist argument.
Yes.
We're talking about a nation in dire austerity.
Yes.
A nation that is finding difficult to sustain itself based on the revenue that is a nation that is not producing anything basically on the ground, consuming most of what is being consumed. And you are sponsoring and you are having a competition with a country like China. These are some of the arguments that not some Nigerians,
okay.
And it's a vexation argument for some Nigerians who think we cannot just afford sending 400 and something people. How much is ticket these days? How much is Esther code and is on the nation's bill?
Okay, now let me tell you, every prospective country has something to take home. Financial rewards, material rewards, knowledge reward, unquantifiable. So do you want Nigeria to be out of this? You don't want Nigeria to hold United Nations Climate Change Conference sometimes in future, in about 3-4 years from now. That's what you is really moving for. Now, if your country is holding this type of conference, do you know how many grants you get from the United Nations? Millions of dollars. So what is it that you are spending small money to get a bigger sum, and you are complaining? Like I was saying before now, let's take Lagos, for example, because I met Lagos State Governor there. Now you see the carbon monoxide that's coming up from the burning and the activities of car creation, create this emission that goes straight into the air, evaporate there, and increase the water content of the Atlantic Ocean. Now, when the water content is increasing volume, the water table is close to the surface of the earth. Lagos is submerging gradually. You think we should close our eyes and not even go there with as many people as possible?
Is the number of delegation, does it matter to the quality of knowledge share?
Yes. Because
there are over 3,000 people that are in that conference.
I can tell you very well.
Virtually.
The number of people matters. In fact, when I was going around, I couldn't even see the black. I was worried until I saw Lagos Governor and Dapo and some few other people. I don't know where the black people are. Go back to the international FIB, the showcase of that conference. You see white people all over the place. At what time do you put your hand and say you want to say something? There are people around you will say, how many of you are there? So the key point here is that you need that political, desire to socialize things domestically within the purview of the conference. Don't argue about people. Many people are sponsored by international organizations. Don't you know many oil companies in Nigeria also sponsor a lot of delegates? Delegates came from the state, which you don't even mention. So that don't buy me money, that's federal government. There are some that come from oil-producing states where we have practical damages to human security and human life arising from environmental challenges. So these are the issues we're about, because the tragedy or the common is not something you come and discuss, without some bit of resilience.
So the question, the conversation is stemming from, I like the fact that your argument is about knowledge share and what to gain out of in terms of the exchange.
Yes.
But the question here is affordability. Can our nation afford it? Can the millions of those who are living in abject poverty, the over 130 million Nigerians in multidimensional poverty, the almost 100 million Nigerians who cannot even feed with $1 per day, if they hear you and we quantify, maybe we should just put out the number of the figures that what it will cost for a business class ticket, which is not going to be less than $6,000. That's over 6 million naira. An estimate that these people will spend every day. In a nation that those kind of suffering is very entrenched, does it make sense for its leaders to put themselves together and jet out of the country, leaving some of the problems on the ground?
Sheon, when you are discussing accounting, you don't take up the liability column. You talk about costs and revenue. I teach my MBA student in Cambridge. 1 minute MBA means what? Revenue minus cost. If revenue is higher than cost, you are making profit. If cost is higher than revenue, you are making losses. So you are not sustainable. So the key point here is not about how much is Nigeria putting into the conference, but how much is Nigeria getting from the conference also. I saw Nigeria president...
At the detriment...
Just a minute.
At the detriment of the Nigerian people.
I saw Nigeria president signing so many agreements transforming to billions of dollars. He will never come home with less than $100 million.
Could that have been done with lesser amount of people?
Yeah, no. Because if you go there and you are just alone, international community doesn't take you serious. Remember, the international system, the geocentric system, is divided into two. The realist class, the liberalist. The liberalists want to see Aswaju, who is a liberal, with the Western democracy. The realists, like China, want to see Russia and all that. Who do you talk with? And when you put your head up, when I was giving my paper and I look up, I couldn't find the black. Where are they? The white people are there. And what is the title of my own paper? The secret of my paper is to say, look, the disaster does not require visa to travel to another border, to cross the border. And the polluter of the environment must pay repairable damages to African countries. And they are owing us over $1 trillion. And they have to pay this money. So are you telling me that if blacks are not there to support that, because that's recorded, isn't it? So after the conference, post-conference, it will be examined. How many people supported this view in the class? So if everybody is saying no, that's the end of the paper, no matter how good the paper may be. But if you can galvanize and socialize domestically around your environment there, then you get it wrong.
Are you an advocate? Are you an advocate of cutting cost of governance?
Well, if cutting cost of governance doesn't mean you should completely remove governors.
But the question is that would you consume more than you can produce?
Who told you we are consuming more than we can produce? Who told you that?
Can we bear what the cost of...
Absolutely, we can bear it because there are grants. There is international grants for participatory countries.
Can those who are borrowing us money take us seriously? They will
be sad if you are not at that conference.
With the number of people?
Yes, because if you are not there, what are you using their money to do? You borrow money to produce oil. We're talking about emission. We're talking about climate change, damaging things. In fact, in UK, they are talking about stopping. Community are protesting against drilling of petrol.
For some of these
countries, you are saying Nigeria should not be in that conference?
No, I'm saying...
So what are you saying?
I'm repeating, I'm reiterating to you the agitation and the frustration of some Nigerians. And if you look at some of the countries of the world that you are mentioning, the United Kingdom came with 697 delegates.
More than Nigeria.
Italy, no less than Nigeria.
Yes, go ahead.
Italy came with 533. Germany came with 468.
Yes.
These are some of the countries that Nigeria went and met, and perhaps will be looking for something from them. Yeah. They came with way lesser delegation.
What is the oil reserve in Germany? Who produced gas to German people? Russia. So Nigeria, we are even flaring gas here. Our reserve is more than the whole of Europe. So you think people should not participate? And lastly, I was talking about cost-benefit analysis. It's the key issue in economics. You don't take my balance sheet and look at the cost of operation and leave the revenue alone. I'm telling you that the president announced 100 buses for electronic buses. Do you think he's going to buy with his money? Donations from these countries coming on board. So are you saying the president sit down here? There are many presidents that didn't go there. They get nothing.
So the government
don't
cannot
look at the number
achieve...
of people.
So
I can even, look, if you look at that...
Senator,
yes.
Senator, there are those who will argue with you that this is just an elitist, and because you're a government person, and because you're an APC, you are in government, you are in the arm, you are in Senate, you are in the arm of government.
Okay, that's fine.
You are a senator, you are government.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and those who will say this is just elitist in your argument, and there are those who will say, look, how are you saying that people cannot get things done only if they fill the room?
Look, how many people will ride on the 100 buses that is coming, electrical buses, first batch coming from Dubai, that the president was generously able to, access? Is it the elite that will ride on those buses? The common people. How many people, when the reparation is paid in billions of dollars for economic, for environmental damages, how many people are going to benefit from that? The poor people. Now, what about the tragedy of the common? Assessment of cost-benefit analysis. Who benefit from that? The common people. The elite takes less than 5% of the benefit of what we are talking about, and who is that elite that cannot buy his own ticket? So let's forget about all this. Let's think about primordial issues, sentiment issues. Let's confront brutal fact of national issue on the agenda of cost benefit analysis. And that's what's important. Other things they're not ready.
They are important, Senator. They are important. You know why they are important? The cost of governance, and there are a lot of the times that the rich have been living fat on the sweat of the poor. In this country, we have seen so much on how much is budgeted. We get into the budget that has been budgeted to fund the life and lifestyle of people in government. Sadly so, people are living in abject poverty, and people in government and in power, and I'm talking about those who are presently there, and Nigerians are suffering. We'll get into those budget
before you go there, let me just say this on a final note to close that chapter. Now, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the cheapest of all the presidents you have in terms of cost analysis. You think he's going to take extra code from the federal government?
What's your evidence?
To attend that?
What facts do you have to defend that?
The fact, rest is locuta. The fact for itself. The fact that these have been governor for several years, he's self-made, they have been successful.
Did he ride on the Nigerian Air Force One?
The common man extra code and be spreading in Dubai. Look, let's face.
Are you saying that the president, the president went as a private citizen?
He went as the president of Nigeria.
Yeah, he
voted by Nigerians.
And sponsored by the Nigerian state
alone, or the poor people alone.
The president
is a combination of everybody. He has the legitimacy of Nigeria on a mandate that was collectively given. Allow him to do the job. How can we talk about things like this? When we talk about cost-benefit analysis, revenue is greater than cost, and you are still not happy. Why will you be happy? Revenue is greater than cost. Costs coming to Nigeria from this conference is higher than what Nigeria is spending for the conference. So therefore, what do you think? What do you need again?
No matter how uncomfortable, Senator, for those of you who are in power, the Nigerian people will ask the difficult and the uncomfortable question about how much you spend in running your lives and your lifestyles.
We will explain to them that, for example, cost of governance this year, we get to budget very soon. We will realize that it's the best we can ever get under any circumstances.
All right, let's get to it. I mean, the last time I remember, after my interview with you the last time, there are a lot of comments in the video, I mean, the comment session, and a lot of people were sending messages. Oh, Jimoh Ibrahim didn't run a successful business. He's advising the Nigerian government. And those who believe that, how successful are you in terms as a private citizen? Because we will come with equity, they say, has to come with clearance, isn't it? I mean, you're a lawyer.
Thank you very much. I'm not here to talk about how successful Jimoh Ibrahim is. A 57-year-old guy with 9 university degrees from Cambridge, Oxford, LSE, and Harvard. Degrees, not certificates. First in history to back PhD in business from University of Cambridge since 1209. Jimoh Ibrahim set up a bank in Ghana. Another country gave him license to operate bank in that country. Jimoh Ibrahim set up a commercial bank in Dubai. Another country, from Central Africa, gave him license to operate. Jimoh Ibrahim set up Air Nigeria, sold it after. Bought Nikon Insurance Nigeria. I mean, what are you talking about? I'm 57. I've done all of this, and we're not successful. Thank you. Jimoh Ibrahim is in Dubai. We hold worldwide fortune in Dubai. Who is the owner of worldwide fortune? I hold that. So it's not successful. Thank you very much.
Some of the assets you acquired, how successful are they after acquisition?
What is not successful? Nikon Luxury, you don't have people there. There are more than 150 guests this night. Nigeria, Nikon Insurance is insuring military parastatals, military apparatus of government. It's not successful. Because we don't come to the television and be making noise and be running adverts that is just to do, then you think we are not successful. I'm not successful, but twice this country under two government, different government I don't know about, you know, had offered me national honors. OFR from late President Yaradua, and that is not a good government, isn't it? Then Jonathan, CFR, that's not a good government. CFR at the age of 40 is not successful. So what's going to success? What success? Success is subjectively objective. You know, success is contingent. Contingent on dependency theory depends. Depends on what? On your variables.
As a businessman, you've made some failures, you've made some errors.
That is normal. Even the Lord Jesus Christ will not claim that he saw it all without some challenges. After all, his minister of finance, Judas Iscariot, sold him. After all, it's the poor people that killed Jesus, not the rich. The rich bury him. Read the Bible very well. So, what are you talking about?
So invariably, what are you saying?
I am comfortable. A distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, chairman Senate Committee on Intergovernmental, is not successful. You are the most successful. I appreciate that.
Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, I mean, it's good to put out the issues and some of the queries that a lot of people are having. But let's get to some of the things you said in the last interview.
Yes.
You made a lot of propositions. You said a lot of things about the Nigerian economy. You made a lot of assertion about the way and manner you think that the trajectory of in fact, it was the early days of the Tinubu government. And you gave a lot of warnings. You said so many things. About the economy, for example, there's been a lot of decisions that this government has made. The removal of subsidy, the merger of the different exchange rates and the markets. But if you look at what you've said, would you say you've goofed in some of your propositions?
You should thank me. You are the one here shouting on me when I said go borrow money. You remember? Yeah. 6 months ago, you said it's not possible.
You said you could borrow as much as we can.
Exactly. Now what had happened? You are borrowing 26 trillion naira. You are borrowing $8 billion to fund the budget. Then Jimoh Ibrahim was not okay that time, isn't it? But today, you are doing exactly, you are seeing in action what Jimoh said. If you don't borrow to run the economy, Sheol, tell me, what do you want to do? Where will you get the fund to run the economy? Dubai, with a population of 12 million people in total, is owing $168 billion. And look and see what they have not used the money to do. They are paying back now at $10 billion a month. Now, Nigeria, population of 250 million people, is owing $77 billion. Now, you have challenges here and there. So the key issue here has to do with the fact that you must borrow to run the economy. And what I said last time is that clear the existing debt and then go into a fresh borrowing, get a moratorium period, and then relax, and then come back home and find out where did you get it wrong. And then face infrastructural development. Haven't you seen that in the budget now? Are you not seeing infrastructure there?
You suggested that Nigeria could approach a few Exim banks.
Yes.
But I mean, from my research after that interview, I know it's not as easy and straightforward to approach this Exim bank. You talked about you having your friends in some of these banks whom you have been in classrooms with when you're studying, but it is not as straightforward. They may not be able to do it even in the next 12 months. But this government doesn't seem to have listened to Dr. Jimoh Ibrahim in your proposition of approaching the Exim Bank.
No. This is gradual. You know, when I said approach Exim Bank, is the government not working with JP Morgan and Chase? The central bank not working with them. Not working with them, Joe. So what is Exim Bank? Exim Bank are set up by different countries, right? In order to promote their exports. So goods produced by them are facilitated through loans that you can get them out. So what I was talking about in some area, where you look at the detail of my thesis in that area, have to do with import infrastructure financing. We have to do with invoice financing as opposed to cash release. So when you go inside the thesis, you see more. So infrastructure financing, invoice financing means you want to use XYZ to pick a Jakarta online, right? You want 6 billion or 2 billion. Now, we are giving you 2 billion, but not 2 billion naira or $2 billion in cash. We are giving 1.6 billion in equipment and 400 million to the contractor to fix the equipment. That is it. Exim Bank will be happy to do that. But if you don't do that and you are going through IMF, World Bank, the last time I was in Marrakech, about 2 months ago, to give a paper in IMF, I think what we have in IMF, about 70 countries now submit their application for loans. Before they process all this...
Which was a proposition you made.
Yeah, and before
so there are a lot of countries now have gone. You said this in June.
Yes.
A month or 2 months later, about 70 banks have approached.
Yes, now World Bank. And this number of countries that are approaching World Bank for loan, they have to process the application. If you submit your own today, when do you think you get your turn? At the time, the loan market will disappear. It will not be as fashionable as it is. GDP to debt ratio in UK is 105%. In China, is 45. Now, take the UK example. It means UK has borrowed 5% above their GDP, about what they want. America is 135% debt ratio to GDP. America has overborrowed 35% more than their GDP. And understand one thing, like I used to say theoretically to my MBA students. Look, America doesn't owe any country because the world economy is denominated in dollars. They can avoid to print any dollar and send to any country that makes noise about their debt. So they keep getting more, borrowing more money to fix infrastructure. And infrastructure attention in America is 25-year deficit. In Nigeria, we have 200,000 roads. We've barely affected 20,000 of the roads. We have 180,000 kilometers of roads not attended to. And you don't want to borrow to fix this. And your tax to GDP ratio is 10%, and you want to move it to 18%. Tell me, how do you want to fund the economy?
So a lot of Nigerians will look at what you're saying now, and they'll be wondering, we already have this burden. And yet the past government has said, we have not, overreached our debt to GDP ratio, yes, but there are those who have said that the Buhari government has led the country into an enormous debt profile that children and children born after several years will have to be the ones paying. But you are saying we should borrow more.
Yes, because the Buhari, don't let us go by the Buhari administration. Because Jonathan left a positive $15 billion GDP to coin account, cash. 2 years after Buhari came in, it's negative $17 billion. That's my MBA thesis in Cambridge. So every of the variables went negative in the Buhari administration. Things went wrong. And all these rails, airports were built by Jonathan, and then you cannot even pinpoint to one single project that cost $1 billion that Buhari actually funded. Now, the challenge with Buhari government is that most money borrowed.
That may not be totally right.
I said that conservatively. I'm telling you, okay, list me 10 projects completed by Buhari that are mega projects in the region of $1 billion. Give me 5.
That would derail our conversation.
They're not available. If you say Jonathan, International Airport, Abuja, don't you pass through that place to go to America and London? Don't you see how beautiful it is? You don't like that when you come back to this country and you see that? International Airport, Lagos, newly commissioned, don't you see that? Are you not happy? Now, cash build-up that Tinubu is doing, are you not happy with that? That's almost about 100% of our revenue. Are you not happy with that? So these are the issues we talk about. So in order to come to a conversation, the key issue is that you must understand that borrowing to fix the economy is critical and it's very important. And if you don't want to borrow, no wahala. Just tell us what is the alternative to borrowing.
Let's take a breather, Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, because I want us to stay on course because yet we have a few more time, but it's not enough for all of the issues that I like to raise. Because if you look at other projects, the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway is there, the Eastern Corridor where that Julius Baje just handed over.
Lagos-Ibadan was Jonathan's project, it was Julius Baje exchange project. You know that.
But the funding, we're talking about funding now.
It was funded.
No, the funding. Yes. The funding came in the Buhari government.
Where did it come
from?
Where
did it come from? Not in the Jonathan government.
Where did it come from?
You are talking about the funding, Senator.
Yeah. I'm talking about funding of the project. The project was an exchange. First of all, look at the historical trajectory of that project. I wrote on that project. It was given to Babalakin under PPA.
But it was taken from
him. Yes. Because there were not enough work being done, immediately. And then Jonathan came, he felt he could fratract it.
The Buhari government went to Sukuk. The Buhari government went into foreign Chinese loans. The Buhari government went outside of the country to get a lot of
and they delivered the project.
The Abacha loots.
Did they deliver the project?
The Lagos-Ibadan Expressway
is delivered 100%. Yes. It's commissioned.
It's not commissioned, but they said they are done.
Not true.
Buhari
government said second Niger bridge. They've completed the project 58%. $4.5 billion was spent from National Treasury. Why are you talking like? And you realize that today 28% of that project are not be completed. Is that not one of the projects? You want to go on and on? Because there are 11,886 federal government abandoned projects in Nigeria. And they were not funded. And the project are still there. Ajakuta is $6 billion. And is it completed? Has it been delivered? The Buhari government spent a lot of money on that. What is the? In fact, Buhari went back to buy back that company from the privatized guy that bought the company, you know, which are these people from India. And then he paid $500 million. Now, to that guy, the company collected their $500 million, they disappear. Had Buhari fixed the Ajakuta project, steel projects, still is consuming 35% of budget, cash. So, look, things are wrong. And when they are wrong, I don't want to apportion blame. So I want to see how do we solve the problem.
Absolutely.
And that is it. Don't
that's our
take
focus
me back to this government that are completely converging complexities around themselves.
Senator Jimoh Ibrahim.
Thank you.
It's good that you are in the committee on appropriations. We talk about the budget. We talk about Ondo State. What is happening to Governor Akeredolu, Ayedatiwa, the politics in Ondo State will get us talking also when we return from this break, everyone. With us. Well, if you just joining us, I've been speaking with Senator Jimoh Ibrahim. He's a member of the Senate Committee on Appropriations and the Senate Chair on Inter-Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us tonight. Let's get into the budget 2024. Yeah. It's been christened the budget of renewed hope. And there are those who will be asking the question, what is hopeful in that budget, considering the situation? We're still going to be servicing debt for up to 9 trillion.
Thank you very much. Now, let's go into the budget proper, just a paraphrase of the budget. So the recurrent expenditure is 9 trillion plus, 9.7 trillion. Now, the capital project is 8.5 trillion or thereabout. So now, what does that give to you? When recurrent expenditure is close to capital projects, what does that tell you? It tells you that the government is not preparing the budget to pay salary alone, unlike the previous government that goes to China to borrow to pay salary every month. Minister of Finance, Kemi, as she then was, will be in China for 15 days of the month to go and borrow money to pay salary. Now, when you have capital projects, 8.6 trillion or thereabouts, that is a lot of money. That's to show you that the president is ready to work. This government is serious. We are now going to unveil and the complexities converging around the hope of the common man coming to your words. Now, therefore, we're going to have infrastructural developments, projects are going to come on board with capital project of 8.6 trillion naira. Now, recurrent 9.7 trillion. Even if you don't look at the budget anymore, that's fine enough.
Hold on, Senator. Yeah. You're talking about recurrent 9 trillion. That's $1 trillion above your capital. We've had a culture of having recurrent, sometimes 30%, 20%, more than the recurrent usually more 20, than 30, more than the capital. Good. Now we have an 8 trillion debt servicing. Yes. 8 trillion capital. Yes. It's still a negative. Yes. Because you're paying debt as much as the project. Okay, let me come with this strategy. That 8 trillion for capital is what you'll be spending in the real sector for you to wake up the economy. Okay, Sean, let me tell you. Number one, Asuwaju Bola Tinubu is not the one that borrowed the 8 trillion that is servicing. You know that. That was previous government. And he cannot run away from that. That's why he told you, I am paying all due obligations to show integrity to government in international finance. Now, if you don't want to service the debt at all, make capital project zero. Make capital project zero. We have a balanced budget. Or you won't construct anything. But you pay salary up to date. You can be a lazy government. People will clap for you. They got their salary every month. No form of development. If you put capital project zero, then what you're talking about, that debt service, is consumed. Now, income is coming by a 100% increase from the previous budget because of removal of subsidy from petroleum. Now, you also have tax ratio to GDP, moving from 10% to 18%. Isn't that fantastic? Can you get it better? So, to me, this is a fantastic budget of hope renewal because you are coming to reestablish a fresh Nigeria. A Nigeria that's collapsed before, a Nigeria where the capital project at actualization at the end of budgetary year, 15%. In one of the about 2 years ago, 7.5% was what actually was actualized in capital project performance. Now you have capital project about 40-something% in the budget.
And you think this is not fantastic?
By the same political party that is talking about a collapsed Nigeria.
It's not about political party. Presidents are coming from different angles and different human beings. And they are subjectively objective.
Isn't the same vehicle, the same ideology?
When you are in my home, for example, my second son had a first class in law. Next to him had 2-1. Now, when I did my own BSc International Relations, I had second class law at same university. I'm the father. I'm the one that gave birth to these ones. They had first, 2-1. Me, who is the father, at LSE, got 2-2. So what are you talking about? So you cannot be the same political party. We are different set of people. What I'm telling you here, the praxis and the taxonomy is different in human behavior. And their knowledge, the apparatus of government in this budget is going to work fantastically in 2024.
So let me take you
and
quickly.
We have cleared so many converging issues
let me
that
take
will
you,
disturb performance.
Let's talk about the solution and the positives.
Fantastic.
For me, one thing that is important is that give me a government that is thinking about tilling the ground and bringing something out for the consumption, a local consumption. Give me a company, a government that is willing to say, this is how many industrial manufacturing companies that we're able to set up on the ground to generate revenue on the ground, something that we can export out of this country. We are a consuming nation. Yeah. Does this budget reflect any sense of production in Nigeria?
It does. The president talked about mineral production. Let's take bitumen, for example. I sponsored the bill on bitumen in the Senate, and my colleagues appreciated that we are the Tory. Now, the bitumen market is $147 billion. Nigeria have second largest bitumen in the world, after Venezuela. Now, Ondo State have $47 billion bitumen dollars on grant. Asuaji is talking to you that he's going to look at mineral resources this year. By the time the bill is passed, National Bitumen Development Company will be set up. That alternates petroleum completely. Only 9 countries are participating in the bitumen market.
I want us to put it in perspective. Just hold on. Yeah. Senator, let me help you out. Bitumen, for a lot of people who do not know, I'd like you to tell Nigerians the percentage of bitumen that goes into road construction. Yes. Because a lot of Nigeria, for those who do not know how important bitumen is. But the unfortunate story is that we have a lot of bitumen as raw under the ground as natural resource, but then it has to go outside and we get bitumen to produce right in the
That is mismanaged.
Applauded the idea, great idea, that we need to start making use of the bitumen that we have on the ground. This is one of the examples that I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I agree with you on this. That's why I said we have 300,000 kilometers of roads in Nigeria. 30,000 kilometers is attended to. We have 170,000 deficits. We need bitumen to do it. The fantastic thing about Ondo State bitumen is that you need, anywhere in the world where you are doing bitumen exploration, right? You need 7 processes to go in, from geophysical survey to the actualization of bitumen. Now in Ondo State, only 2. It flows like water in Agbabu, in Ibotako, in Oderele. Go there. In fact, let me share a joke with you. We take our bushmeat from there. You know the animals, when they run it into the bitumen, their leg gets trapped and they start crying there. Then we go there and pick them. You see, this is how rich our natural resources is. So Asuaju government going to set up for the first time in the history of Nigeria, Bitumen Development Corporation of Nigeria, and participating in $147 billion market and attending to the needs of the local road. Haba. This is the best you can get.
That is one example.
That's one example. Now coming
what
to
other areas of production? Because that is what I am a pro-production person. Yes. As a Nigerian, it's a sad scenario, a sad story that we are so rich, yet so poor.
I can tell you very clearly that normally, that is even bitumen production is exceptional, right? Under normal situation, in contemporary politics and economic development, you don't talk about government going to set up factories. What are you supposed to factory to do? Dangote have brought refinery or petrochemical matters. You know, you don't go there and compete with him. Even your rail or whatever you want to do, the key issue here is that government is divesting from what used to be private government economy to the real private sector-based economy. In China, most of the government facilities are now privatized, you know, and privatization is going on gradually to make sure that ownership of public enterprises are handed over to individuals, not government. What is government going to do with selling biscuits at 5-star hotel? In Dubai, you give support to people who want to do the business. You create an open environment. It's not the duty of government to be doing housing for rent. What's the meaning of that?
So in your own view, this Tinubu's
Yes.
Renewed Hope 2024 budget is a good budget?
It's a fantastic, first class.
It's a good way to start.
If I'm to mark that in Cambridge, that's first class. That's not two way to it. Yeah. And that is the best way to start, because the man is talking about the hope of the common man returning back to the society, creating business environment that will make business to be flourished in this country for the first time since the last 6 months that's what you have been there. But, tell me how many companies have been arrested,
Senator,
and been destroyed.
What about the frivolities that are going to be sponsored and funded in those budgets? The exorbitant amount that is going to be spent.
Like what?
The billions of naira that is proposed to be spent on the residence of the vice president. The amount of money that is going to be spent in funding refreshment, in funding vehicles.
Just a minute. The vice president, Wike, said he want to spend $15 billion, 15 billion naira. That is $15 million. That is $15 million.
In Nigeria today.
Let me tell you, is the house belonging to the vice president as a person, or belongs to Nigeria?
But can Nigeria afford
If Nigeria cannot develop its own asset, forget about it.
It's an austere situation that we have. When we have more money, Senator,
it's a sad situation,
we can spend,
you don't
but we do not have the money. We are borrowing money, servicing debt for 8 trillion, Senator.
When you borrow money, you also have asset and liability side of your balance sheet. You borrow money to develop asset. Asset is value on the asset based on the balance sheet, so that you can be able to balance your account. It does not mean that, okay, for example, in those days, President Obasanjo bought an airplane for the presidency at $7 million. That is the plane that Aswaji is still using. Buhari use it. Jonathan use it. Tell me where they sell a plane for $7 million. If that was not bought as at that time, do you expect your president to be on British Airways to Dubai?
Senator, I'm looking at a situation where those of you in power will start thinking about the average and the poor. Just let me take you away from that quickly.
We haven't gone beyond that. Actually, we want the poor and the rich, to be at par. We are trying to remove the gap.
All right.
So in this budget, for example, tax to GDP is moving from 10% to 18%.
Senator,
the rich are going to bear the bunch.
I have 2 quick questions,
yes,
and I have limited time.
Thank you.
Because the note of warning is that the rich needs to be careful so that the poor will not get to the point that they will be so poor and they'll be running after the flesh of the rich.
Said that 18th century, it never happened.
Senator, don't wait till it
You
happens.
also manage the time.
Don't wait till
Adam still talked about politics.
Don't wait till it happens.
It never happened.
Don't wait till it happens. Senator, let me get quickly to Ondo State.
Yes.
What is happening? You are a major stakeholder. You are a leader in the APC. What is going on in your state?
Well, I don't think there's it's over-exaggerated.
Really?
Yes. Apparatus of government and governance are working in Ondo State.
Even the allegations that proxies are signing off contracts.
People can say anything on the internet. You can even pick your pen and sign 2 signatures and put it on the internet and say, the one belong to Aketi, one belong to...
Have you spoken to the governor?
Oh, yes. I spoke to the governor last week. We were at the president a week ago, to talk about the peace solution. And then the president came with a peace thesis, where he said that the impeachment proceeding against the deputy governor should be taken off by the national...
So he was meant to also sign write a resignation letter. Is that true?
Did he sign it?
I'm asking.
Did he sign it?
I'm asking.
So you can when you are doing peace.
You were there at the meeting.
Understand? When you are doing peace meeting, you can suggest so many to pacify the other side and say, look, I'm going to collect a resignation letter from the deputy, all and that. You are happy now, but that does not mean in reality that we will call the deputy governor, go and bring the letter. Let the deputy governor come to the television and say, I signed a letter of resignation. It doesn't exist anywhere. Now, hasn't the State Assembly withdrawn the case about impeachment against him? They did. So there's something like impeachment against the deputy governor anymore. So it's free. Now, the governor is the governor, the deputy governor is the deputy governor. Last Monday, just wait a minute, the governor sent 35 to the Secretary of Government for treatment. He signed them. Now, these are distributed to various arms to look at. Now, the executive council meeting took place, last week, presided over by Edatua, the deputy governor. The deputy is the deputy. The governor is the governor. You cannot avoid the constitutional breach. Come on.
I mean, of course, I know Governor Akeredolu is your very good friend.
So no. Forget about that. I don't take contract from Akeredolu, and I've never recommended anybody for appointment. Let me tell you, Aketi is a Democrat. 4 times before he was sick, right? He transferred power to Aiyedatiwa, even when he was going on holiday.
So why the distrust?
So what is
happening? Why the distrust now?
You just have to ask the other side.
Senator,
so the issue is that I don't want to agree with this. I don't want to agree with you that Akeredolu is this. Akeredolu is the governor of Ondo. He's not dead.
We need to close the program now, Senator.
He's not dead.
You want to be governor, isn't it?
We are still on the survey. We are conducting survey. We don't just jump one day and say you want to be governor. You conduct survey.
But it's your wish to become governor.
If the survey is positive, I will. If it's not positive, I sit at the Senate. Do you think I have anything to lose? But if the survey, at the end of the survey, people say, come over and come and be governor. Why not? I'll go. But if the survey is not good, why do you think I'll waste my time?
All right. Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, member of the Appropriations Committee and the Senate Chair on Inter-Parliamentary Affairs. Thank you so much, Senator, for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate
Thank you. Nice to see you again. See you another 6 months.
That's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Bye-bye.